Welcome back to This is Van Keller. Back in March, the BC government enacted the Intimate Images Protection Act, which streamlines the process for any individual to remove intimate images of themselves that have been shared online without their consent itself being revocable here. It also allows victims of this kind of sexualized violence to claim relief without proof of damage when an image is distributed or even threatened to be distributed without their consent. But in order for those images to be taken down, isn't cooperation needed from social media and adult content companies? Well, here to explain is the Attorney General of BC and Minister of Justice. She is Nikki Sharma, and this conversation is supported by Shelter Point Single Malt Whiskey, distinctly Vancouver Island, uniquely Shelter Point. Minister Sharma, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So before we get into the legislation itself, when we talk about intimate images as per the legal term, what are we talking about here?
It's a really broad definition, and it involves any image that could be altered also, that's of you that's intimate in the sense where it shows like a part of your body, it shows an act, it shows something that's intimate and would be considered intimate, and you had an expectation of privacy while it was being taken. So
right. And so I guess that expectation of privacy or perhaps even the sexualized nature of the imagery is really important, because it doesn't even matter if the image itself is artificial, right? It could be a deep fake or a repurposed photo or a sort of a likeness that looks real, right?
Yeah. And I think that that's something that is increasing, right? People are able to alter images in a way that could be like part of you, but it's used in a way that you didn't consent to or approve and in a sexualized way.
Right. And that broad definition is essentially by design. So you're trying to capture perhaps future technology that maybe we're not foreseeing.
Yeah, we really took a look at everywhere that similar types of legislation have been enacted, and we looked into it, and we wanted to just be as broad as possible. And like to your point, really keeping up with the fact that it's an ever-changing space when it comes to technology. So we want the kind of broadest protection possible for people.
So explain the process to me. If someone is in the unfortunate position of having their intimate images or videos shared online without their consent, now they're not going through the court, they're going through a tribunal system. Like, how does it work from step one to the end?
Yeah, we took a lot of care in designing a process that was victim informed and trauma informed. And the idea is that you can come forward first on an online portal. So something that's 24/7, you can do it on your iPhone, and you can make an application to the Civil Resolution Tribunal. So we're setting up a whole website that will also have resources for you, because we know that oftentimes, particularly with young people, there can be a lot of misplaced shame and embarrassment and feeling like you had something to do with it, even though it's not your fault. So we wanted to make it as easily accessible as possible. So the idea is you get, once the portal's up and running, you can go online, you can make an application to the Civil Resolution Tribunal to say, hey, there's an image of me that's being distributed without my consent. I want it taken down. And then a tribunal member will take a look at the application. You can do it with or without notifying the perpetrator, and can give you an order that says that person has to stop distributing it and take it down. It can give you an order saying that the internet intermediary, so whatever platform's using it, has to take it down. So it really helps to give that power back to the victim from that type of victimization.
And I guess when we think about this, there could be things that maybe are not completely public, right? Like I'm thinking of, WeChat or WhatsApp or certain Facebook groups that aren't like completely public, but there may be a lot of people in those groups. So does this also cover that?
Yes. Totally. It's also broad in what it covers. So it could also just be, this is very antiquated, but it could be like a printed version of the picture.
Oh, really? Okay. So it's not just limited to online.
It's not just limited online, because the idea is that you didn't consent. It's an intimate image of you. It could be an altered image, and you want it stopped.
Right. And when can we see this website up and running and functional?
Well, we're working on it right now. And I think the earliest, we're hoping to as early as possible, but the kind of latest is in 2024. So January, early 2024.
And is that also when the tribunals themselves will start?
Right.
Okay.
That's right. Well, that will all be run. And that's why just recently I reached out to some of the bigger social media platforms, because it's so key that they be on notice that this is coming, that they get orders against them. And so it's really part of us setting up this process to making sure that, my job as Attorney General is to make sure that people in BC are protected, particularly from these bigger forces, right? So we need to do everything that we can to protect people from this type of really devastating impacts.
So that's my question. In your role as the Attorney General of BC, how are you able to compel these social media giants, right? Whether it is Meta, Facebook, or, Tinder or OnlyFans, like how can you force them to take down this content?
Yeah, so we have used in this legislation every tool that we have under provincial legislation and provincial court system to maximize our ability to basically hold them to account. I issued a letter a couple weeks ago to the bigger names saying that these orders could be against you, up to the point of that if they don't take reasonable steps to act, so de-indexing the picture, taking it down, stopping it from distribution, then they could face monetary damage. Somebody could go after them in court for fines. So we wanted to make it super clear, and I wanted them to know that this is coming and they could be liable in court for not complying. It's been interesting with the response because we've met with Google already. I think Pornhub has reached out to meet with me. We're really trying to make sure that it's very clear that we want this to be done quickly, because the longer this stuff is up, the more harm is done for people.
One of the things that we're told, and I think that we continue to tell the next generation of online users as well, is that if it's on the internet, it's there forever. Right. And that is quite a scary thing, that sometimes, despite all the best efforts, there will still be traces or images that you might not want there. So ultimately, like, doesn't the punishment for the perpetrators have to be very severe in order to match basically the damage that is done here?
Yeah, and that's another part of this work is that if you are the victim of this type of thing, you can take your perpetrator to court, right? You can get monetary damages against them for the harm that's done. So the minute I introduced this legislation, I was sure to put like any perpetrator on notice, right? That in BC, the day that I introduced it, if you're distributing somebody's image without their consent, you could be responsible for paying them for the harm done from distributing that. And we want to make it very clear to them that there are consequences for this type of behavior. I
know you're only responsible for, what happens in BC, but is there a push to maybe have something like this, at least on a national level, where, someone just can't run to Alberta or a neighboring province and escape this sort of punishment?
Yeah, so we do have some tools in our court system to just kind of apply things outside of our jurisdiction. We're maximizing that. But, I think it is part of the work that we all have to do as governments is to keep up with these bigger international forces that are causing real harm to our people, right? That our people are suffering from. And so the more that we work together with other jurisdictions, the more of an impact it has. Like, I'm very looking forward to meeting with these bigger companies that have cross-border power and saying to them that we expect you to comply with BC's laws. We expect you to take down these images, and I'll keep at it until they do. And I think if all of us do that, we're gonna make sure that they comply, right? That they're not bigger than a government's job to protect their citizens.
When it comes to social media in particular, I feel like, and I guess this is less of a legal question, but more of your opinion, I feel like one of the key problems is there is this aspect of anonymity, right? So people can go on and you don't know who they are, and they're posting vile things, whether it's hate or sexualized imagery against people's consent. Wouldn't it be so much easier if everyone had to somehow register before they could be on like a Facebook or, a big social media network?
Yeah, interesting concept. So the fact being, like, they would have to disclose even if it's a fake name, somebody knows who they are.
Or just, I don't know, register some sort of ID or something or a phone number, I suppose. And I think some sites are doing that. But I feel like if you had your name attached to everything you posted, that may deter you from posting things, right?
I mean, it would change the nature of the internet. I feel like, you're a big personality online too, and I'm a public person, and you know what it's like out there, right?
Yeah,
like that
it's a hellscape.
It's a hellscape. And people say all these kind of things that you just wouldn't tolerate in person. Like, you would never say that to somebody if they could identify you. So I think you have that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, what is the way to bring up the kind of level of protection in an online space, because we spend a lot of our time online, right?
Well, I definitely appreciate you taking those steps, and thank you for your time tonight.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, she is BC Attorney General and Minister of Justice, doing great work to ensure our laws keep up with technology. She is Nikki Sharma. Big thank you to Shelter Point Single Malt Whiskey for supporting local conversations and local content. Now, up next, you may have heard about the coroner's inquest into the horrific death of Miles Gray, but has anyone truly been held accountable for this homicide? Let's talk about it, up next.